lot of the online training and modules. But at the end of the day, Roots is about leadership and leaders from all sectors of the economy in Greece who've come together under this mantle to really change the trajectory of sustainable growth and prosperity. And now, of course, with the establishment of the Greek Competitiveness Council that CMOS is leading, with Socrates and others being very important members of that, we really are going to see the implosion, as it were, of a new trajectory and leadership story for innovation and competitiveness in Greece. And I know we're going to have a very exciting conversation. And I, again, want to thank all the leaders on this call, as well as recognizing Hiro Nasiguchi, who's a very tremendous innovative leader in Japan, heading the Japan Innovation Network, and my dear friend and colleague, John Pirovalakis, who not only has created instruments in the United States to accelerate this startup to scale up and the access to capital for emerging companies that will create the future, but who himself is an investor and a leader in many of these enterprises at the cutting edge of the future. So thank you, Roberto. Thank everyone in the GFCC and our colleagues, and look forward to a very exciting discussion today.
Thank you, Deborah, and thanking you for creating actually the vision and the opportunity for the GFCC to partner and for all of us to work with our colleagues in Greece. Socrates, you are the mastermind behind this program. And as Deborah said, it's a quite innovative program. So I would transition to you and hear your insights.
Thank you very much, Roberto. First of all, I would like to thank you, both you and Deborah, for giving us the opportunity today to present Roots, this program that has been inspired and created in Washington during our first visit there, as you have mentioned previously. For us, is important the help that we have had through GFCC and Deborah personally for setting up this program. And it is important also that now, despite COVID-19, we are who has created a delay in the process of the program, we are in a position that we have ending the first cohort, and we aim to start the second cohort. The program, as it has mentioned, aims to accelerate the growth of Greek SMEs, that they have an innovative appeal, and help them to effectively communicate their proposals to investors and access financial opportunities through the Greek capital markets. I believe that Georgia will have the opportunity to describe it a little bit more in detail. What is important from my point of view, it is that this Roots program has managed to bring together big companies, large cap companies from as corporate champions, as mentors, also companies from the advisory environment, helping the smaller companies to pave their future in a new Greek economy. And I believe that we have succeeded, along with the help of Arizona State University and the sessions that they have prepared for this program, and others that they have participated, giving some real value to all the 9 participants of the first cohort. And of course, it is important to say that we're aiming to go on this direction and to help the Greek innovative companies to face the new environment, the new digital and green environment that everybody is foreseeing for the future economy. Finally, I would like to thank Hiro and John Pirovalakis, who has participated on this event, and I'm waiting to hear their influential approach on this. Once more, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope in the discussion we will have the opportunity to say more about this program.
Wonderful, Socrates. Without further ado, I would turn to you, Sibos. Compete Greece has been an essential partner. So what's your take on the program and how it was originated?
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you very much, and thank you, Deborah, not only for being here with you today, but for your support all this time. It's really great to be here today and discuss and present Roots, and I would like to explain why. With the Athens Stock Exchange and the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce that I was presiding at the time, we used to come on a road show every summer in New York and then to Washington. In the meantime, of course, we have started cooperating with the Council on Competitiveness of US. We have signed a memorandum at the time to cooperate and to create Compete GR. I would like to remind you that Greece was still in a very deep financial crisis at the moment. It was 2017, if I'm correct, and Socrates could correct me, if not, that we started our discussion in New York, I think, about a new way that we could assist Greek SMEs to get the financing that they couldn't find at the banks at the time. And during our second visit, and after, of course, having discussed the issue so many times, we happened to visit, we had organized a visit at your headquarters in Washington. And there we presented the idea to yourself and Deborah at the time. Maybe it was the support that we received from you and the warm remarks at the time. But the idea, I think, has started to mature, especially in Socrates' mind at the time. And Apexil really took ownership of the idea and proceeded to identify the issues, because it was not only the idea, you know, the vision to find a mechanism to support SMEs, to get financing for them, but how you do it in an environment that was not used to it, how you persuade SMEs to get financing other than the banks. You know, it's not only the skill, but it's also the will of the entrepreneurs in Greece. The environment was not here. The situation was quite difficult. Several and very complex issues at the time. And really, Socrates, I think, and his team at the Athens Stock Exchange came up with a whole program, a new tool there, not only to address the issue of financing, but at the same time, address several other issues, like if we have the capacity to attract investment in Greece, what kind of skills were required, what kind of education was required, and if the SMEs had the knowledge and the options, if there was adequate advice at the time, and to address all the other asymmetries that we had in our market right then. And I have to say that GFCC was extremely important to that issue for the capacity building at the time, by providing the expert necessary, the expert advice, and the experts themselves that participated in the selection and the evaluation committees, so that the value of the investment proposal that were created through Roots were scrutinized under you know, the lens of the most advanced technological and innovative developments. Equally important at the time was, and still is, the visibility that is provided by your network, the extended network of GFCC. And this is why we place so much value in today's conversation also. From my part, I would like also to mention that Greece is lacking in competitiveness rankings on several issues. Among them, especially on financing and accessing the capital markets, Greece is one of the last in all rankings. I do believe that by creating Roots, we have also addressed one of these issues, capital markets and accessing capital there. And we have also found a way to improve our competitiveness rankings through the same program. So many aspects and so many facets of the issues have been met by Roots. And I cannot explain and tell you how happy I am to have participated in the original idea and to see this baby in the hands of Apexil, the Athens Stock Exchange, having grown and produced the first results. So thank you for the opportunity. Very happy to be here. I feel like a father, maybe a second father. Socrates might be the first, but maybe I'm the mother in this case, or Deborah is the mother in
There
this
is no
case.
doubt that
Or
Deborah is the
baby that has
mother.
grown up and now is at the first steps, is doing the first steps.
Of course, I have to mention also Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce, who
I think
is.
you are still muted, Socrates.
No, I'm not muted, but I'm
Okay,
trying.
sorry.
I would like to add also the important role of Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce, and of course the Excellency, the Ambassador Payat, that has pushed us to conclude on the efforts that we have made in order to set up this program.
Wonderful. So Deborah, Socrates, Seamus, thank you so much. I think that one thing we can really agree here, Roots has a big family. So, and
Exactly.
thanks for making the case about the connection between this innovative tool and the overall competitiveness performance of the country, Seamus. I think that was very important. Having said that, we are transitioning to our second moment and really learning a bit more about the program, how it was actually implemented, and what is the Roots experience. So having said that, Georgia, the floor is yours. It was great to work with you in preparing this. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Roberto. It's been a pleasure organizing this, and we're really grateful for having this opportunity to present Roots. I'm going to just outline the program, and then we have 3 representatives from 3 of the companies that have been part of the first cohort who are going to say more about their experience. And I think that's very, very important. So if I can just load my presentation, which at the moment, it seems I'm having difficulty. It says here the host disabled participant screen sharing. Is that true, Roberto? I can do it without the presentation if I have to.
No, you can present. So Vanessa, can you please enable
absolutely.
Georgia to share?
It has been sorted. It has been sorted. So let me just put it on full screen for everyone to be able to see it properly. And let me start running through it just to give you an idea of what really is that Roots does. First of all, let's just make it clear that Roots is not an acceleration program like many others that exist. Here in Greece, we have several that are doing a great job. Our specific focus that makes it a little bit different and we believe special is the fact that we're focusing on increasing the capacity of Greek small and medium-sized enterprises in being able to approach the capital market and raise funding. So we're looking for companies, obviously, with the characteristics required to attract investment, but we're looking specifically, aside from improving all other aspects, as far as we can, to increase their ability to do just that. And how do we do that? What's the approach? The approach is really an attempt to transfer knowledge in an environment, a very collaborative environment, where we have a lot of different participants and contributors, and I will show you later on who they are. We've incorporated global best practices, both from GFCC, other programs, many experienced, knowledgeable people who have participated in the design of the program. But really the idea is to provide training, mentorship, and all with the intention of accelerating the growth of SMEs. Obviously, SMEs that have to have innovative characteristics and certain characteristics, which I will mention in themselves. But what we're looking to do is mobilize the environment here in Greece, both the corporate environment and the capital markets ecosystem, to actually provide the support, mentorship, leadership that's needed to accelerate the development of those companies. Typically, when someone graduates Roots, we would like to see them being able to present with confidence a good investment case to the investment community and to be able to attract the necessary funding for their business. There are three very important pillars of the program which make a huge difference in its success. Number one is actually attracting the right companies to Roots and selecting those that could benefit the most by taking part in the program. This we do by accepting applications and having a committee of individuals, both local and international experts who have the ability to evaluate these applications, to actually go through them and select those that will join the program. The advisory support that's provided to the companies, obviously, it's our main tool. It's our main way of assisting and supporting them. And we have a network of mentors and investment advisors who work with the companies once they're on the program. And the third main pillar is actually things we do and we offer through training, workshops, organized for this purpose, which aim to improve the companies, their people's capacity, build their capacity in all sorts of areas, and more so, obviously, in the area that we focus on, which is capital markets, investment readiness. So what are the companies we're looking for? What are their characteristics? Well, there are no surprises here. I'm sure everybody is looking for all of these things when looking to evaluate whether a company will grow and prosper. Number one is the team, the management team. We're looking for teams that are skilled, they're forward-thinking, they're capable, not necessarily a complete team. We could work together to improve, add, but definitely we need to see the makings of a good, strong, winning team. Now, we need to see innovation, okay? Innovation, it could be in the product, it could be in the business model, the production process, it could be the approach to the market, but there's got to be innovation there. And there's got to be a market for what it is that they're doing and looking to offer. And also, we need to be able to identify their ability for growth, the potential for growth, the ability to scale once they've had the help and the inputs and everything that can be offered within the program and after that. They need to be able to be competitive going forward. A lot of Greek companies, they start well, but they fail to grow and compete. And this is where we need to make the difference. And all that needs to be wrapped in a vision that is ambitious, a vision that is to take over in the best possible way the markets that they want to be present in. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of how our first group of companies was made up of, we have the first cohort coming close to the completion of their journey within Roots. It was 9 companies that we had this journey with, and obviously you don't know the names, they're not famous yet. But just to give you an idea, here you can see in this pie chart the breakdown by sector. The interesting thing is that there is a more or less equal split. The sector that's represented more than the others is the food and drink sector, which is no surprise. Here in Greece, we've got a lot of potential in that sector. What it would be interesting to say is that we have a more or less 50-50 split between startups and small, medium-sized companies with growth potential. So it's more or less equally split. And we also have at least a third of the companies are family businesses, where the second generation is coming in and is looking to make a very dynamic difference to the business. And the 3 companies we have with us will tell us more, I'm sure, about their individual cases. Now, what I want to also show you here you will recognize some of the names because there are some pretty big names here with us. But it's a list of our corporate champions, the 9 business leaders, corporate leaders that provide the pool of mentors in this first cohort. We've got 4 banks with us. We've got some very large groups, industrial groups, Greek and international. We've got advisory partners, Deloitte, EY, Grant Thornton, they need no further introduction. And our training partners, the Arizona State University, the CFA Society here in Greece has been very active in supporting us. And our supporters, our partners, of course, the American Hellenic Chamber of Commerce, EBRD, Endeavor is a supporter of ours, and of course, GFCC. Now, I think the most important thing is the intangible part of Roots. All these people that have been with us, supporting us, working very, very hard, injecting their energy, knowledge, and vigor to the program. We do have a process, and the process is also very, very important. I'm not going to actually spend any time talking about this, and we're going to turn to the companies, but they can maybe refer to it if they need to. And in any case, you'll get the presentation. The important thing is that, as I said, we want the companies to be able to go out and claim the capital they want and claim it from the capital market. And I think the 3 companies we have with us can probably share more of their story with us. So having said this, I think it would be a good idea to start with them. We have 3 different companies. Biosolids is the first one that we will have talking to us. Thanasis Savakis is the CEO. And I think, Roberto, we should get Mr. Savakis to load his presentation and share his experience with us. The one that will follow is Apexil, and Mr. Anastasopoulos will, the CEO will present for them. And I know how Mrs. Fotopoulou, the CFO, who is here with us, will have a brief 3 minutes to talk about their experience. So, Roberto.
Thank you so much, Georgia, and thank you so much. This was great. I do have a quick question and a follow up here. So in the meantime, Vanessa, if you could pull our colleagues to the screen for them to present. And I just want to remind all the presenters that they should be very quick, but we're very happy to have you all here. Georgia, we got some questions here. Will the presentation be available afterwards? We would be happy to have it at the GFCC website, if that's okay, and share with our extended community.
Of course.
Perfect.
It will be available to everyone. Yes, of course.
Okay. So I think that we can now transition to Mr. Savakis. So over to you.
Good morning to everybody. Nice to see familiar faces. Great to participate in this exciting event. Nice to be part, a founding member of the Roots family. Let me share my screen for my presentation. Okay. Let me open.
Just want to remind everybody, those are very quick presentations. Sorry for saying that. It's part of my role.
So who are we? We are the pioneers of organic waste management through natural composting of biomass. We follow an innovative business model based on 4 interdependent axes, which is the environmental protection, the legal framework, the social welfare, and the economic growth. Our competitive advantage, it's that this venture is based on the consolidated experience of the family business activity in the food processing industry ecosystem. We have a lawful, certified, and financial sustainable management of organic materials and waste by operating a modern processing facility, presenting enhanced expertise and fully adapting the principles of circular economy. That is the reduce, reuse, and recycle. Why composting? Because it's the waste management method with neutral, practically zero environmental footprint. The innovation is based on the concept of circular economy, and of course the growth potential in it. The full adoption of the circular economy model, which is a global trend, a transition from a linear supply chain model to the circular economy practices throughout the economic activity spectrum. What is the growth potential? The growth potential is based on three factors: the legal framework, the European, that is the EU, and the Greek one, which is aiming to a climate neutral Europe through the implementation of circular economy model by 2050. Second, the farm to fork strategy, which is again an EU strategy aiming to make the food system fair, healthy, and environmental friendly by 2030 by reducing the overall use of chemical pesticides, the protection of soil fertility, the reduction of chemical fertilizers, and the promotion of organic farming. The aim is to have the 25% of the European agri-land in organic farming by 2030. And third, the increasing adoption of the environmental, social, and corporate governance by companies and enterprises. The model is based on three diversified income sources. That is the gate fees, the incoming organic waste. Second, the production of organic fertilizer and compost. Third, the biostimulants, biocontrol products for organic farming through the trade agreement with a global leader, Italpolina, now known also as Hello Nature. The market growth, we can see it on these two graphs. There is a consistent increasing trend in the production of solid organic waste in Greece. And there is, again, an increased consumption of organic fertilizers. This is very important. From 13,000 tons, we go up to 150,000 tons by 2030. And this practically presents a significant advantage for us since we are there. We have a consolidated knowledge and experience of more than 8 years. We know the business, we know the ecosystem, and plus, for a newcomer, this is a very time-wasting process since the legal framework is very, very, very strict. The strategic development plan, 3 pillars, 3 milestones: a joint venture with the Bank of Industrial Development that manages 26 industrial zones across the country, an adoption of a holistic waste-to-energy approach. Second, the construction of a second facility in central Greece. Third, the arrangement of our commercial portfolio via the strategic partnership we have with Italpolina. And last but not least, the adoption of an innovative business model, that is the acquisition of pilot mobile composting units. This is the first venture that is going to adopt such a model that is digitally monitored and controlled centrally, composting units that allow us to have a geographical expansion by meeting at the same time the seasonal peaks in accordance to both the holiday season as well as the agro-food seasonality. And this is something important because we do that without having to invest in permanent installations. The role of roots, you said it before us, it played an enormous role in understanding the capital market ecosystem and, of course, in adapting our company practices to it in order, of course, to access funding through Apex and become visible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll quickly transition to Mr. Anastasiou. Could you change? Could you change the presenter here? Okay, welcome.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you for the invitation. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor for all of us in Apexil to be part of this conversation and to present our company as a successful business case in the framework of the Roots program, an example of business acceleration and sustainable development. Perhaps not by coincidence, wood, our main raw material, it's an eternal natural symbol of creativity, development, and of course, sustainability. But obviously, this is not enough. There is so much more to it. Apexil is an architectural woodworks company. We specialized in custom-made architectural woodworks, interior furniture, joinery, wall paneling for commercial, public, and private projects. It all began in 1981 when we started out as a typical Greek small family business. But we have come a long way. As today, we are considered as an international leader in the woodworking industry, undertaking large-scale projects in a global level. To briefly give you the scope of our development, in April 2014, we employed only 7 people. In January 2015, 150, and today 250 people, having offices in Paris, London, New York, and Athens, where we base our production line. Amongst our most emblematic projects is the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Cultural Center, the new Paris Courthouse, the new Opera of Mumbai, the Hudson Yards in New York, and many others. We have active projects in 4 different continents, and we are currently working on a new Vietnam Opera House in Hanoi, on a series of Rolex boutique stores in the United States, the Agia Napa Marina in Cyprus, and more. This is why we strongly believe that the Roots program has been a great opportunity for us, a catalyst for our international development. As you may well know, SMEs are not on the radar of the banks in Greece. So we need to explore alternative ways to finance our business plan. And the Roots program provided the necessary training and know-how for that, using innovative financing tools. But it's also supported the effort to develop our business plan, to modernize and streamline our corporate governance and culture, our structure and our procedures. As a result, today Apexil is confident and ready to offer investment opportunities, to implement an ambitious business strategy that will quintuple our size in the next 3 years, with new investments in infrastructure, cutting-edge technologies with artificial intelligence, and bigger production lines in order to meet the over-expanding and national and international demand. Because in economic terms, we're already in the post-COVID era, and we are clearly see that in the United States, which is one of our primary markets, and we're planning a big opening of our business there, but also in Greece, where Apexil is participating in projects that constitute the landmarks of a new era. I'm talking about the Hellinikon developing project, including the new casino, but also the new Kastelli International Airport in Crete and the Stavros Niarchos Foundation new hospitals. We're implementing that last mega project in cooperation with the internationally renowned architect Renzo Piano, who I could say is like our mentor and a constant source of inspiration and creativity. To conclude, the Roots program has proved to be key to our future growth, setting the framework for the opening of our new chapter in our corporate history, based on the unique combination of innovation, development, and sustainability. Because ultimately, our vision is to enhance through our work the element of quality in people's life and work. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Nikolaos. This is very exciting. We heard about the circular economy, woodwork, and how you have expanded globally. And we're now transitioning to Ms. Fotopoulou, and we'll hear about automation and IT. So over to you. We can see your screen.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Katerina. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for your kind invitation. I'm Katerina Fotopoulou, the CFO of I Know How. We operate in Greece for almost 20 years now, with our core business being digital transformation, medical imaging software, and end-to-end robotic solutions for the industry. During the last decade, we invest in innovation, and we keep up to date with cutting-edge technologies. That made us resilient and gave us opportunities for sustainable growth. Now, after more than 5 years of research and development, we are ready to launch Skroup, our autonomous underwater magnetic vehicle, providing a robotic solution to a real problem of the shipping industry, the most historic sector of the Greek economy and one of the most important worldwide. Our Skroup. Skroup is an autonomous underwater vehicle for continuous inspection and grooming of the ship's hull, One could say it's like Roomba for shipping vessels. It is an energy-saving device, an important and integral part of every ship, which saves hundreds of thousands of dollars per vessel per year by optimizing fuel consumption and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, contributing in such way to a cleaner and more sustainable environment. The response we received and the way the industry embraces our venture gave us the motivation to concentrate our forces and grow quickly around it. We have received funding from the Norwegian Innovation Fund, and we have built a strong and multidisciplinary team along the way. Our people have many years of experience in robotics, engineering, vessels performance management, and business development, leading the way to our commercial setup. The launch of our product is expected to be in early 2022, an important year, a year anticipated to disrupt energy efficiency in shipping operations due to the new EU and IMO legislation and policies for the emissions trading scheme. Now, Roots came at the right moment for us. From the beginning of the program, we got mentoring to structure our goals and formulate our business plan, while the training sessions we were offered helped us crystallize our thinking and prepare for exposure to the investment market. Last but not least, the constant guidance and care we receive from the Roots executives is the best possible validation for our work and keeps us sane in towards this new exciting journey. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Katerina. This is very exciting. And Georgia, I want to give the word back to you if you have any final comments. But it's very exciting to see this diversity of companies, this combination of cutting-edge technology and robotics with, let's say, woodwork and art. Georgia, back to you.
Well, you can see why we're so proud and so excited to have these guys with us. They're full of passion and energy and pursuing their vision. And all 9 companies had something very special to say. Now, you got a very, very slight flavor of what Roots is about. Anyone who is interested would be able to see the companies more because they will be presenting, especially when they present their investment case to investors. So anyone who is interested can get in touch with us. Obviously, so much for Roots. I think we need to turn to our experts. We've got questions for them and a lot that I'm sure they're going to enlighten us about. It's a big question, a big ask for all of us. How can a company grow and become sustainable in this so competitive and so changing and very, very difficult environment? So I think over to them, Roberto, and would be happy to answer questions about Roots or anything during the conversation.
Thank you, Georgia. So if you are attending this session, please share your questions and comments here using the chat feature on Zoom. We will be pulling some questions. We just heard that Georgia will be able to answer and take some of those. Please do it. 3 words that came to my mind seeing the presentations, Georgia: earth, data, and beauty. So thank you so much for that. And as you said, we would like to transition to Hero and John. Both of you, Hero and John, you've been in the innovation space for several years. You've built companies, you worked for consultancy companies, you have been working with major global corporations. So we would like to hear from you a bit more about what do you see as future business trends and how Georgia said, what we could learn from those in relation to acceleration processes. And maybe Hero, would you go first, as it's late night for you? Thank you so much for joining us from Japan.
Well, thank you very much, Simos, Socrates, and Georgia, and Deborah, Roberto. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. It's an honor to be here And I like to actually speak. I like to speak about less than 5 minutes, actually by building upon actually Georgia's presentation. Georgia used the word of capacity building. And then my question would be, what kind of capacity are we building? That's a core question for us to think about. And my answer would be as follows. Number one, it is a capacity to design and to implement, number one, purpose. Number two, the customer experience shifting. Number three, ability to go through a non-linear innovation process. So let me just work on, let me talk about purpose. As we heard from three presentations, they do have a very clear purpose. And as you know, the United Nations has established, and by working with all nations as you know, SDGs or global goals, this is really to create a sustainable society for all nations, and not only in the area of environment, but in business and everything. And as we are moving towards a zero emission world, hopefully in next few decades, and I think ability to design purpose and purpose as a business objective is very important, because I think the impact on the society is so important from business growth perspective as well. Then number two is about the shift of customer experiences, because what we do from innovation perspective is really to create a better society and better experiences for our stakeholders. It can be our business to business, business to government, or business to customer. And however you define your market, it is really about building a better experiences for our stakeholders. So, but it doesn't happen automatically. We have to design and implement a better experience. That's a core value of innovation activities. And the number three is about non-linear process. Unfortunately, this entire civilization is based upon the belief that going forward is a good thing. Going back is a bad thing. That's a very strong bias in many sectors. And this society is actually built upon on a kind of very linear thinking and linear activities. And however, the innovation activities are opposite. Innovation activities are based upon the non-linear. From beginning to the end, it's a totally non-linear activities. And to do so, you have to have two different mindsets, linear thinking and non-linear thinking. And you have to do both, okay? And it's not about good or bad thing. It's actually, you have to do both. And whenever we hear about innovation, we often think about the startups. But now today we are talking about enterprise innovation activities. And to do enterprise innovation activities, of course, we need entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs. However, entrepreneurs are not good enough. We have to have a good management system to encourage and accelerate innovation activities. And we call it innovation management system. And lately, ISO, International Standards Organization, has published the newly developed global standard for innovation management system in 2019, July, I think. And that is actually based upon the 6 years discussion among 59 countries. But this is really for enterprise innovation. How can we become more competitive? How can we become more innovative? By installing and maturing innovation management system in existing enterprise. So this is the kind of game of the rules. And it looks like Roots is a wonderful program. And I'm sure this will flourish more and more going forward. But again, I would like to congratulate Georgia for your wonderful program. And by linking with other maybe international standards and other thinking, it may mature even more. Again, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Hero. And really, without further delay, John, I would turn to you for your comments. You've been building companies, raising capital, making companies grow. It's quite challenging to do that, right? So, what's your take on this type of program and what you've seen, and what are some of the ideas that you have, for instance, on capital access to capital? You are muted, John. You're muted.
Is that better?
Yeah, here we go.
Well, I think the program's very encouraging, and if you can sort of take it back to the original purposes of these exchanges. Originally, exchanges were there to fund companies that needed capital, right? And that sort of gets back to what Bruce is trying to reconnect to get happening more in Greece. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the States, there are a couple of factors driving conditions that make it hard for SMEs to get access to funding. So when you have the way capital is formed now, where you have a lot of IPOs that are really the purpose of which is really to provide exits to earlier investors, to create unicorns, to create the spin that creates these multi-billion-dollar companies that are, really what in years past would have been concept stage companies or a little bit past that. There has been, the way capital is formed now, there is a disconnect with SMEs. It doesn't necessarily serve the interests of smaller businesses. It serves more the interests of investors. And so I think this kind of outreach from an exchange, a program from an exchange out to SMEs is a step in the right direction and gets back to the original purpose of these exchanges. There's sort of this now trend around crowdfunding, sort of the democratization of access to capital, bypassing sort of IPO type structures, or not bypassing, but in addition to them, or setting the stage for them, and also going outside of private equity venture capital. I think this is a really important type of initiative, and I think Roots kind of is in this kind of direction for Greece, which is, I think, a really, really positive thing. But if the capital markets are available really just to people who have access to private equity, really to people who just have access to venture capital, or the banking relationships to go public on a large exchange, that really excludes a very big part of the economy. It's distinctively undemocratic, and it doesn't bode well for small businesses if it's really a mechanism just for big money, where capital has formed in sort of a very powerful way, entrenched way. So I think this is a very encouraging program. It takes the focus back on SMEs, which is the lifeblood of a healthy Greek economy. It's the lifeblood of Germany's economy, SMEs, and it should be the lifeblood of the American economy. And I think it's a counterbalance to the mega trend of massive capital formation in the private markets, in private equity, and in venture capital, and the trend on the exchanges for very, very large IPOs and SPACs and things like that. I mean, those are wonderful things. They have a place, but if they're right now, at least in the US market, it's almost at the exclusion of certain kinds of SMEs, the very kinds of SMEs Roots is trying to address. And I think that's a really good thing.
Thank you, John, for that. I think that you're really making the case for democratization, democratizing the access to capital, but also democratizing the access to investment opportunities. Maybe I would quickly turn to you, Hero and John, before we have other colleagues joining the conversation. It was a very quick question. What are some of the future trends that you see in addition to what you have commented in this business acceleration space that we all should have in mind?
Go ahead, Joe, please.
No, please, Hero. I'm sorry.
No, Joe, you go first.
I feel very impolite, Hero. So I hope in your next trip to New York, you'll be buy you dinner over that rudeness on my behalf. So, I think one trend in sort of capital formation and access to capital is now the very powerful entry of basically nation state driven capitalism because of the role that China is playing. So you can see now massive investment from primarily from China around areas that they think are strategically important for their ability to dominate the Asia and maybe eventually the world. Big investments in artificial intelligence and cybersecurity and quantum information science as well. So these are things that they're not traditional economic forces. They're not part of the traditional supply and demand for capital. And I think that could distort markets. I think it's going to be harder for startups in any country, the US, Japan, or Greece, that are operating in areas that have national security implications to compete on traditionally supply and demand based terms. So that's a macro trend sort of for a certain part of the SME market that addresses areas like that, national security, significant type innovations that I think will skew access to capital. So that's a mega trend that I predict.
Thank you. Hiro?
Yes, actually, as I explained, since the innovation management system standard was published in about 2 years ago, actually, this is I would say my analogy is I would say the secret sauce to innovate from within existing enterprise was shared. So secret sauce is available already. Okay, then real competitiveness among nations and the companies is really about ability to come up with a better purpose. And a better purpose, which is broken down into several practical objectives. So we call it the purpose engineering, but the power of purpose is so powerful. And the ability to come up with a better purpose, inspiring purpose, and also ability to break the purpose into very practical objectives, project objective is very important. And other methodologies, the lean startup, design thinking, and business model generation, these will become more like a common sense in next 1 decade. But again, ability to come up with a better purpose is a very unique to each person and each company and to each country. So that's again, so in short, the power of purpose generation is so fundamentally important from my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiro and John. So John, you mentioned innovation and finance institutions, but also having some unusual players playing new roles. Hiro, you were saying that innovation is more and more becoming a science and not an art, and that purpose will make a difference. So thank you so much for your contributions. Deborah, I would like to turn to you for your reactions to everything that we've seen here, and then really invite Socrates and Simos to join this final part of our conversation here.
Thank you, Roberto. Well, let me just start by saying I'm incredibly impressed with the trajectory of the 3 companies that have move forward now, and I understand they are listed on the Apexil stock exchange to access capital, and that's of course a tremendous success metric for the Roots program. But each one of these 3 companies that we heard about is operating in very cutting edge challenges around sustainability, the circular economy, digitization, as well as taking, in the case of the woodworking company, a traditional industry, but turning it upside down to create new value that is now being recognized in very, very premium markets for their products. So, each of these companies in and of themselves, I see operating very, very quickly in the global arena, not being inside, the Greek or regional economy. So that's very, very exciting, and I think a tremendous success metric for Roots. I also am very, very impressed with how there's a continuum between, the traditional way of business creation in Greece, which has been, a family building something small, keeping it within that, I don't want to say a monopoly, but almost an internal system of development, and recognizing that has tremendous advantages, but they have to look outward from the beginning. And again, that's something that we're seeing here in the success of these three companies. A question I have is going forward with Roots and the, of course, goal to have the companies that are capable now, and we have these examples of actually listing on the Athens exchange to raise capital investment and to be part of the democratization of innovation success, which John Pirovolakis has talked about. I mean, this is, he just touched on it, but this is a huge, huge issue, how so many major game-changing companies never have the opportunity for, individuals to invest in them. They are really the purview of private equity and closed venture capital, and really defeating the purpose of exchanges, quite frankly, from their creation. How do you see, and this is really a question back to our Greek colleagues, Socrates, Georgia, and Simos, how do you see marrying the Roots program with some of the new exciting instruments in the EU around these areas we're talking about, whether it's the European Development Bank and others? Because the sovereign wealth funds that are playing a very critical role, not all positive, particularly when we're thinking about, China, and I don't think we want to really get into that too much here today, but the Chinese targeting of these strategic enterprises and coming in, in the US and other places with massive investment to control and access the intellectual property for, in many cases, nefarious purposes in national security is a real challenge. But in the case of Greece being so much a part of the EU, you really do have the potential for these enterprises to become mainstream European champion companies potentially. So that's something I want to put on the table. What is the next phase in effect of the Roots successful company to now really become both European champions, but also get integrated into other parts of the global economy, whether it's in the US, Australia, other big markets in the world. So I know I bundled a lot here, but I'm very interested in this latter point of the even further scale up, taking advantage of Greece's position in the EU and accessing the equivalent of sovereign wealth funds under the European Commission.
Socrates, Simos, Georgia.
Let me start trying to give some answers or some ideas to what on the subjects that you touched. The problem of financing SMEs in Europe is not strictly a Greek problem.
Right.
I believe that it has been understood well by the European Union that SMEs are underfunded for several reasons. In Greece, these last years, and because of the financial crisis, and of course because of the pandemic this last year, the European Investment Bank, for example, has made several efforts to address the issue in Greece. So we have a couple of funds, maybe more. Socrates can be more specific about this in Greece today that support SMEs and invest in SMEs or provide them with the necessary capital to advance their business. So I do see that there are several efforts, European and Greek-wise, to support the ecosystem of SMEs. Not only the startups, as most of them are doing, but as the Roots is doing to support existing companies with existing products and a specific plan. So Roots is acting in support of all of this and sort of, I wouldn't say independently, but I would say in an additional way here. what we've seen in the case of Roots, and we should mention that, is that although the structure did not exist in Greece, the will and the capacity to operate, I think, to have operational capacity, has allowed for a major new instrument to be created and become successful. So Greece was not famous for its clusters or for the cooperation of the public and private sector. However, because we did realize the problem, we came up with a solution to it. And the fact that we have been able to cooperate with GFCC, for example, or with major other educational facilities in the US or in Greece, proves that we can further increase the influence and to mobilize more people. The fact that a program like Roots has been had an appeal to major Greek corporations, multinational or national, and we mobilized major corporations to act as mentors, for example, gives us an indication that we can do the same in Greece, abroad, and especially in the States, where the facilities and the instruments to finance SMEs or innovative companies has been successful for many years. Now, and this is the next challenge, for example, that we can undertake. How can we mobilize, for example, Greek diaspora to compensate for the lack of funds that we have in Greece? These people in the States want to help the country, and if we come up with the right tool to persuade them that we have an evaluation process and present them with good investment ideas, and by using the GFCC network and the rest of the networks that we can influence, the next step is to mobilize them to help finance the next level of the Greek economy.
Socrates.
If I may add, I believe that the most exciting part of Roots is that it's tackling three different issues that I would like to comment and indirectly answer to Deborah's question. The first one is that in all Europe, and especially in Greece, we have a bundle of an important amount of SMEs with ideas, inspiration, and capacity to develop and create business, and they need to find the financial support to this experiment in order to prove their ability or capacity. And Roots is one platform that is giving them access to and knowledge to the global capital markets community. Because in Greece, in Europe, the financial sector is dedicated to the banking lending, and it is an issue that it was recognized, and at the policy making level, there are many efforts the last years to, let's say, rebalance it. But still, the culture is slightly different than in US in democratizing the risk exposure of each one economic unit. This is one issue. The second issue is that we are living in a global economy nowadays, and the Greek companies, they must have an opportunity to provide the information to the international investment community. But in order to do so, they have to have the competencies to work in such an environment. And I believe Roots is trying, I'm not saying that it's doing, but it's trying to cover this issue. And the third one, which is also important, is by redesigning the backbone of the new economy in Greece and in Europe, we have to give opportunities to those ideas or to those companies to accelerate and become international leaders, as it was mentioned by Deborah. So what I'm saying is that with Roots, we are trying to create something not the absolute solution, but something that is giving some insight or some light on a possible solution for those companies. This is our story, I believe, and this is the inspiration that we are having. And of course, we are inspired, as I've mentioned, with the culture that we see in US capital markets. This is the story.
Thank you, Socrates. Georgia.
Well, if I can just add one thing, I think with technology today, there are no borders and no barriers other than the ones we want to create. Each nation, I mean, each country. Greece is very extrovert. We want to overcome the setback we had in the last 10 years. We want to attract people from all over the world to invest here, and we want to channel our products and our creativity and innovation all over the world. You know, we've got tremendous brains and there's a lot of research. It's just a question of overcoming the failures along the way that stop us from having the results so far. With Roots, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the old and the new together, and we're trying to give new businesses confidence, small businesses confidence, to go out there and claim what rightfully should be theirs. I think our exchange has got a unique ability of showcasing everything, and this is another thing we can offer to them other than access to funding. Obviously, the old values of purpose, even as it's being, transformed now, and trust are the fundamentals of the process. And obviously, corporate governance, ESG, they are top priorities for us here. And that's very important. I think it gives those businesses another competitive advantage. And they need to just use technology to their advantage, use all means provided to them, and go out there and claim the future. And I think we saw 3 businesses that have got, I think, a very good chance of being very successful in doing that.
Thank you, Georgia.
Roberto, I want to just add something to the great comments from our colleagues in Greece. With the new government in Greece really developing a much more innovation-friendly policy environment, regulatory environment, do you see the marriage of that with the potential to really expand the entrepreneurial ecosystem as a way that companies now, such as those in the Roots program, can really accelerate being the first in line, as it were, for being deployed in major infrastructure projects in Greece? I know there was a reference to the Hellenikon development. I mean, this is a huge scale infrastructure project. And, it seems to me that there's a tremendous opportunity there to marry that opportunity with the new regulations in Greece that are providing for more transparency, better corporate governance, lack of corruption. All these things that in some ways in the past have hobbled the economic development. Is the new government, in partnership with Apexil Group and the Chamber and Greek Competitiveness Council, do you see a marriage of interest here that can further accelerate this innovation economy that's creating the future?
Simos is always the most appropriate person to answer, but I would like to comment on this. With the acceleration is coming, especially with the funding that we have, the government has achieved up to now. I believe now the game has changed, and the most important issue for growth is entrepreneurs to create new business plan in order to speed up the recovery process of the economy under the new environment of digital and sustainable economy, digital related and green related economy. So there is a huge opportunity that is coming from the infrastructure changing that you have mentioned, that has already the financing means. but the story for the Greek economies, the entrepreneurs, to speed up on creating new and additional ideas and programs to tap the existing liquidity internationally or through the funding that you have mentioned?
Well, Deborah, there is a short answer, and the short answer is yes, definitely yes. And the longer answer, and it won't take me that long to address it, is that the government this time means business. We've seen that in several issues, especially the effort to digitalize also the process in the government, but the example, for example, of the vaccination program and how well it was organized is a perfect example here. But they are also addressing issues that have been a major drawback for many years, red tape for many years. Labor law, social security, transparency, as you said, even reducing the social security and taxation rates, for example. And at the same time, it seems that they are also addressing the issue of entrepreneurship. Socrates put it very correctly. The issue today is to take advantage of the competitiveness advantages that are here. And again, it was the Prime Minister that showed us the way by persuading companies like Cisco or Microsoft to create hubs in Greece, although Greece cannot be said that it is the most advantaged, the most competitive nation in Europe. However, by promoting and by showing that we are very well positioned to accept these companies and make them work here, we managed to persuade them to come in northern Greece, for example. So where we have a competitive advantage, we can promote this and at the same time promote and finance the companies that are at the forefront today of entrepreneurship and are really changing the backbone of the Greek economy, which is SMEs.
Thank you, Simos. Maybe we're approaching the end of our session. We could transition to John and Hero to any final comments. Well, we heard a bit about ambitions and the future for Roots and this type of program. We heard about, for instance, leveraging the potential of the diaspora, John. So not sure if you would have a comment about that. So we want to transition for your final comments, John and Hero. Would you like to go first, Hero? Share any insights and also maybe reflect on how not just this experience, but others could be catalyzed and turbocharged through the GFCC network.
Yeah, very quickly again, uniqueness of the Roots program is its attention to enterprise, existing organization innovation activities, and I think this is the area many nations and the regions are trying to improve its capacity. And I think that includes the United States and of course, Japan as well. But I think there's a very clear distinction between invention and innovation. Innovation is all about new value or distributed new value or added value. So I think by doing so, with that, I think if we can blend Roots into as a mainstream activities in the Greek economy and also industry activities, I think we can expect a very rosy future for Greek industries. And but this is an age of open innovation. There should be many connections in terms of innovation activities. And again, Roots can be a very good platform for many nations to work together. So again, as a board member of GFCC, I'd like to again congratulate our colleagues from Greece for your wonderful, amazing job to this point. Congratulations.
Thank you, Hero. John, any final comments here? As the Greek diaspora was mentioned, for instance, any ideas on how to leverage that resource?
Beware what you are going to say, John, because we will adapt Hero.
Well, Yeah, just as a member of the Greek diaspora, I'll just say that I think there is a lot of goodwill for Greece. There's a lot of interest in helping Greece. So I think that's an important asset to tap. And you know, and I think a macro sort of bigger issue around that is making sure that there is a strong connection between Greece and the diaspora. You know, some of us, like me, are the children of Greek immigrants, and the connection to Greece is instilled very heavily. It's a big part of who some of us are. But as the generations go by, it gets weaker and weaker. There was a Greek diaspora in Russia and Romania, places like that, where now there aren't a lot of people that feel that connection. So I think there's two things. One is reaching out to the Greek diaspora, because there is a very strong connection to Greece and wanting to help Greece, and the other, the other is preserving that connection, making sure that as Greeks in diaspora go into second, third, fourth generation, that there's still a feeling that, of connection to the culture, religion, and heritage.
Thank you so much, John. I think that I really want to give you some time for your final remarks, Socrates, Simos, Georgia, and then finish with you, Deborah. But when doing that, one question that I would have for you is, what's the one thing that you would like to have, maybe to push this initiative toward the future, as Deborah has teed you up? So who wants to go first? Simos?
Thank you. I'm not sure how to address this. There are so many things that we would like to do, but what I would like to say about Roots is that it's a program that made us very proud. Not only we're able to
I think that we lost Simos. Yeah, I think that we lost Simos.
Hey, Kev, where are you, man?
Yeah.
Okay, I will take.
Yeah, please.
I will take the opportunity to cover this gap by saying that we are doing. We are putting all our energy in this Roots program because we believe that it has a substantial value for the Greek economy. But the most important part is your help to improve the extrovert approach of Roots. And for this, I would like to thank you and to say, and I would like to inform you how valuable is this time that you are spending with us and helping us to, let's say, explain the way that we are working.
You're very kind. Georgia?
Well, I will second what Socrates just said. I think it's very important to have fresh energy coming in all the time, learning from the things we've done and improving them, but also we really need to absorb all the help, all the support, all the innovation coming in from you guys and everybody else in Roots. And there's so much, I mean, we've just started. So, I mean, it's very, very energy inducing being with you guys here today. And thank you very much for that. And obviously the cooperation so far and all that will follow. Thank you. And thank you, Hiro-san, for your very, very, very kind words. Thank you.
Over to you, Deborah.
Thank you, Roberto. Well, let me thank all of our colleagues in Greece, the fantastic CEOs of the three companies we heard about today, their leadership, vision, and accomplishment. I want to say that as one of the founders with Chad Holliday of the GFCC some 10 years ago, the success that we're hearing today about the Roots program and the impact it's already having is, in my view, so exciting. Yes, for Greece and for the people of Greece, but it's a tremendous validation of the mission and the purpose and the design of the GFCC. Because from the inception, we've been talking about how can we bring together minds, business leaders to really understand and create a new narrative for the future. And Roots is really showing that leadership and people who take the initiative to understand the situation, but do something that has concrete results is the metric for success. And so when I think of all the learnings and the understanding that we've gleaned around the world through the work of the GFCC, I think the creation and growth of Roots is going to be one of our great success stories. So, and I think it will be a model for other countries to think of adapting as well. So when we have the 10th anniversary, it's going to be virtual this year of the GFCC. I know that we will be very excited to have the Roots program highlighted as one of the success stories, but then going forward, coming out of COVID, and really as one of our colleagues, I believe it was Simo, said, we're in the post-COVID world, to bring the GFCC as we've planned with the partnership of Compete Greece and our corporate and other members in Greece, to have the GFCC Innovation Summit in Greece, and to really have that also as a tremendous opportunity for us to together further scale up and implement and carry forward the Roots potential. So I'm very proud as well of everything that's been accomplished. And I know it's just the beginning of a great journey. And you know, the psychological implications here are very important for Greece. Greece has gotten a very different reputation for how the country and the people of Greece handled the COVID pandemic. The country has been very disciplined, very structured, and done things in a way that not only protected its citizens, but moving forward very much in the vaccination and coming out of this. And that's all part of the narrative of competitiveness and prosperity and delivering great value to citizens. So I would just conclude by saying it's been a wonderful conversation, but a validation of everything you leaders in Greece have built with Roots, and of course having the participation of these great entrepreneurs and existing business leaders to participate in your initiative to create and design the new value for your country going forward is just a tremendous reward for all of us who are committed to creating a more sustainable and prosperous world and our nations together. So thank you all so much. It was great to see everybody in our virtual screen today. And I just want to say to my dear Greek friends and colleagues, I'm very excited to be coming to Greece at the end of June. Look forward to seeing you all there. And it will be personally and professionally very rewarding to have the opportunity to be with you in person at the end of June and early July. And thank you, Roberto, for your leadership in moderating this wonderful discussion today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah. And for those who joined the session today, I see that we got many questions. Feel free to be in contact. We have questions here, for instance, related to IP issues in the context of Roots, Georgia. So I will refer those to you. I've read your question here, Irene. I know that some of you are interested in the partnerships that we've put together, including the training content partnership that we have catalyzed to support Roots. Our colleague Paul Maiden from the UK has commented about that. I would be happy to talk with you about it, Paul. A few quick notes before we finish here in 1 minute. 3 comments about the session. I think it really is about partnerships. The second thing, I'm very happy to see that we're addressing, that you with Roots are addressing, not just the digital world, but concrete challenges in the economy and working with SMEs. So it's a very diverse set of companies. I was very happy to see those companies. And the final and the third issue that comes to my mind, it's about future levers. I think Deborah has set the stage for the conversation in relation to that, but what are the levers to build the future? Having said that, on June the 16th, we will launch a new conversation series in the GFCC. So please stay tuned. You can check more. You can check for updates at the GFCC website. So please go online, www.thegfcc.org. We will also have the presentation that Georgia made today available at the GFCC website. So please stay tuned. And next week, on the 28th, we're launching a GFCC book, Leading Through the Chasm and Into the Future Economy. This is something that came out of our 2020 conversation series. We were very happy and fortunate to have leaders such as Hiro Nishiguchi, Simos Anastasiopoulos contributing pieces to the session or to this book, in addition to Deborah and other leaders. And on the 28th, we're having a live session to launch that publication. So please, once again, go check at the GFCC website updates and get information on some of our upcoming activities and upcoming sessions. It was a pleasure to have you all here. Before we go, I just want to invite everybody. We always take a group picture. We want to keep this as a tradition, and Deborah will hold me accountable for that. So please look at the camera and smile. We're taking a group picture here, and yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you, Hiro, Simos, Socrates, John, Georgia. It was really a pleasure to have you here together with you, Deborah. Thanks for creating this opportunity to work together.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Deborah. Good to see you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you much. Bye, Deborah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.